So, hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Just Reading. Today we're going to talk about my nonfiction read for the month of January, Goals, How to Get the Most Out of Your Life by Ziglar. This book was a recommendation from a podcaster that I listened to that focuses on personal finance, and that's an area that I intend to build personally. And so I've been listening to a lot of podcasts in that area, and just this nonfiction book, Goals, was one of the picks for the year. And so I decided to make this my first read for January. So Zig Ziglar, for people who don't know, he's like a very leading figure in personal finance and let's say money matters, almost up there with Warren Buffett, but Warren Buffett is like in the, I guess, investment game. So he talks about ways in this book. He talks about goal setting and things that you can do day to day in order to not just set goals, but to meet your goals. So the promise is like, if you follow a lot of these procedures, then you won't just be setting goals just to set goals, but you're actually taking actionable steps that will help you achieve or meet whatever goals that you set for the year. And so in the pod, I have some quotes that really resonated with me. And we're going to look at and talk about a few of these quotes as well. And so one of them that really struck me was, barrier breakers are internal and they're not influenced by outward negatives of life. It's so interesting because when I read this, I was like, that is so fascinating just to think about. Like, things happen in your life all the time, right? I mean, it's just life, just things that happen. But to be a barrier breaker, it's something within, on the inside of you. Like, it doesn't matter, like, what is happening around you, the negatives, or, things might not be going your way, but you have to internalize that. You have to push through and you have to make the changes in order to continually be a barrier breaker and to be an example almost for like the people around you. And then another one that I really liked was, it's not abilities that makes the difference. It's actually our thinking and our direction. I mean, that too is like such a nugget, right? So it's like a lot of times we think to ourselves, oh, it's my ability. It's like what I'm very capable of doing. And ability does play a part in it. But how many people do we know in our lives that are so intelligent, right? And they have like a great ability to do whatever, but their thinking and their directionality gets in their way of meeting their full potential, right? And I think that to me, these are my takeaways on how I have kind of just sat with these little nuggets and worked through them. That to me is what he was basically saying. It's like, okay, ability is great, but what about your direction? What about your drive? What about your thinking? And then another one I really liked was, a goal properly set is halfway reached. Like, setting the goal is half of the battle. Can you believe that? Like, how many times myself, everything I'm saying is also in reference to me, right? I've thought to myself, okay, I would like to do this, but I've never set goals to say, it's just like a thought, right? But if you set the goal with intentionality, that's half the battle. Like, you set it. So the Bible talks about even writing the vision and making it plain. And that was my connection there too. I was just like, it's basically along the same vein, like, set your goal. That's half the battle. And once it's set, then you can go from there, right? A few other quotes that really stuck with me were committing to your goal to reach your goal. So, whatever goal you set, commit to it. Make sure that you commit to it in order to reach it. So, it's almost like having that target. You have to make sure you keep your eyes on your target. Don't shift, don't get distracted by the noise around you, but commit to it and you can reach it. Don't be susceptible to the negative influence of other people. Oh my gosh. Learn to walk in silence. My that was my takeaway, right? Because I find whenever I set goals for myself, I keep them to myself until they are pretty much completed. Only because I find that I don't want to hear another person's opinion on something that I've chosen to go after or something that I think is important to me because that is internal for me. It's not about anybody else around me. It's about me. It's about what I want, what I desire, what I think is good for myself and my family's life. And so, because of that, I keep my thoughts, my goals, my ambitions a lot of the time to myself. It's like the really important things that I know I have close to my heart because people can be negative influences. And sometimes it's not always because they intend to be. Sometimes they do it in the guise of being helpful, but their help is not very helpful. And so that one right there, that one was like also such a good nugget to take away from. And then the last one that really stood out to me that I had in my notes that I wanted to just put out here to the YouTube verse. It's not what happens to us, but it's how we handle what happens to us. I'm gonna read that again, guys. It's not what happens to us, it's how we handle what happens to us. Isn't that just how it is in life? Like things will happen. And again, I'm going to use scripture because as a believer, a lot of what I do and how I focus in life is through my faith. And the Bible tells us that trouble will come. Trouble will come. But he will be with us through the trouble. Just because of how we live and go through the world, like things happen. But it's not about what's happening, it's how we handle what's happening. It's our response to what's happening. It's how we navigate through that. Are we going to fall victim to it, play victim to it, fall on our knees and not get back up? Or are we going to find a way to push through it, to be flexible, to pivot, to come out on the other side of it, right? So this book, I would recommend it. I've been focusing a lot more on nonfictions so far since the beginning of the year. So I have a few more because I'm really, really going to put my best foot forward here and try to do that 12 nonfiction for this year. So pick it up if you're into nonfiction at all. I'm challenging myself. I've had I've really had this this need just to read some more nonfiction that's good for me, that speaks to me, that's beneficial for me. I'm not giving up my fictional reads, but the channel is called Just Reading, and it's just my way to share books that I find that I really enjoy. And just chit chat about them. And so right now, this was the one that I read, and my next one for February was All About Love by Bell Hooks. So a quick review and chat about that one is coming up. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in, and as always, just keep on reading. Bye now.